The future is unknowable, but that doesn't stop prophets from trying to imagine what's in store for us a few decades or even a few millennia from now. Now, popular culture has envisioned a future both utopian and bleak, but whether optimistic or gloom-ridden, visions of the future are rarely right. In fact, most of these predictions are often tragically wrong and even sometimes hilarious. Doom and gloom predictions. They threaten to swamp us every day. The sea will flood the earth by next Tuesday. Food will become so expensive that people will die by the millions. Fukushima radiation is making its way to the West Coast via the Pacific Ocean. FEMA camps are storing way too many plastic coffins for our liking. Mosquitoes will thrive while bees will die, etc., etc. It seems to me there's a deep-seated subconscious desire in the human animal to actually want doom and destruction. Now, unfortunately, our pathological nature when it comes to this issue, combined with our hardwired egotistic desire to create and lead a cult, often leaves us cashing checks that our bodies can't cash. So, perhaps it's time for a reality check. Here's a list of my top 10 prophetic predictions that missed the mark by an incredibly bad margin. The bigger the prediction, the harder and more entertaining or even tragic the fall. So let's explore the top 10 failed prophecies of all time. Now, coming in at number 10, the Prophet Hen of Leeds. An altogether charming apocalypse that stirred up interest in Leeds 1806 involved a hen, some eggs, and the second coming of Christ. According to Charles Mackay's book, Extraordinary Delusions and the Madness of Crowds, a village outside of Leeds was home to a hen that produced prophetic eggs. The eggs that the hen laid were inscribed with the words that Christ is coming. Large numbers traveled to see the hen and the eggs, and the belief grew that the end of the world was close at hand, causing many to become suddenly religious, pray violently, and repent of all evils they had committed. The miracle was soon discovered to be little more than a soft-boiled hoax. Some gentlemen inspected the hen while in the act of laying its eggs and cried foul. They determined that the eggs had been inscribed with a corrosive ink and cruelly forced up again into the bird's body. The end of the world was far from nigh, and the people of Leeds stopped bothering the poor hen. The hen never forgave them. Number 9. It's the end of the world as we know it. In 2011, 89-year-old Harold Camping, presenter of California-based Christian radio show Family Radio, claimed that he had discovered the exact date for the occurrence of the rapture, and beyond that, the end of days, using Bible-based numerology, the belief that there exists a mystical, inexplicable relationship between numerical patterns and the physical world. Now, come the 21st of May, 2011, 20 million people were to vanish from the earth. The remaining population would suffer earthquakes, general anarchy, and a whole host of turmoil. On the 21st of October, 2011, God would then destroy the entire universe with fire. Camping's predictions gained international attention, thanks in part to the investment of Robert Fitzpatrick, a follower of Camping's. Fitzpatrick spent $140,000 of his own life savings publishing the prophetic teachings of Camping in a work entitled The Doomsday Code, and subsequently advertising the work on billboards, bus kiosks, and taxis. Now, in my hometown of Portland, Oregon, people poked fun at the entire event when the rapture did not occur by placing full sets of clothes, accessories, and all, like glasses, hats, along sidewalks and in front of their houses to at least aesthetically show what a raptured pedestrian might look like. After they had shed their whole entire earthly trappings, of course. Number 8, the Great Flood. Jonas Stoffler, a respected German mathematician and astrologer, predicted that a great flood would cover the world on February 25th, 1524, when all of the known planets would be in an alignment under Pisces. Hundreds of pamphlets announcing the coming flood were issued and set in motion. A general panic. Count von Lagelheim, a German nobleman, went so far as to build a 3-story ark, though there was light rain on the day of the predicted flood. No actual flooding materialized, much to the dismay of the Count. Now the sun becomes a red giant 7.6 billion years from now. The future looks bright, maybe too bright. The sun is slowly expanding and brightening. About 7.6 billion years from now, the sun will reach its maximum size as a red giant. 7. Halleys Comet. A unique astronomical event is a surefire way to inspire a doomsday prophecy. Enter Halleys Comet, a ball of icy dust that is visible from Earth every 76 years. When this celestial body was scheduled to make a pass in 1910, the claims of impassioned astronomers at Chicago's Yerkes Observatory inspired fear in a surprising number of people. They insisted that the comet's tail was made of poisonous gas, and when Earth passed through it on May 18th, the toxic fumes would cause widespread death. Some opportunist tried to profit from the hysteria, selling comet pills, masks, and bottled oxygen, intended to help people survive the noxious Armageddon. As the deadly date approached, some concerned citizens stuffed towels under their doors and covered keyholes to protect themselves from the gas cloud. Others refused to go to work, choosing instead to stay at home with their families or seek refuge in their churches. Now, those not taken by the apocalypse predictions watched the night pass without incident at rooftop comet parties held across the United States. Number 6, the Large Hadron Collider. To anyone without a particle physics degree, the Large Hadron Collider may seem like a scary piece of advanced machinery. The massive particle accelerator's circular tunnel, located just outside of Geneva, Switzerland, measures 17 miles in total circumference. It can send hydrogen protons crashing into one another nearly of the speed of light, allowing scientists to discover new elements and particles that may shed light on the creation of the universe. That is, if everything goes as planned. Now, some theorists suggest that the massive energies created during such collisions could potentially form black holes, capable of engulfing the entire planet. These fears came to a head in March 2008. Walter L. Wagner and Luz Sancho filed a lawsuit in a U.S. court to stop the LHC from beginning operation until scientists produced a safety report and environmental assessment. While most scholars acknowledge the possibility of black holes, they dismissed the danger, insisting that any such abnormality would only last a few seconds long, hardly long enough to swallow the Earth. Despite the controversy, researchers fired up the LHC in 2009 and have accomplished some remarkable feats, including the creation of a soupy mass of matter thought to resemble the conditions just after the Big Bang. By the end of 2010, no black holes have been detected in the LHC, but according to doomsayers, that doesn't mean we're in the clear. Something could always happen before scientists conclude the project in 2013. Number 5, God will arrive in a spaceship. The True Way, Shen Tao, was a cult started by a Taiwanese national named Hung Min Shen, who was originally an atheist and professor. The movement was a mixture of Buddhism, Taoism, and ufology, 3 things that obviously fit together. Shen believed that the universe was 4.5 trillion years old and had been created by a nuclear war. He also believed there had been 5 tribulations in the past which were survived by UFOs resurrecting Earth's inhabitants each time. Shen predicted that God would appear on cable television in North America at midnight on March 31st, 1998, regardless of whether you subscribe to cable or not. After announcing his return, he would land on Earth in his spacecraft. To prepare for God's arrival, the True Way's 140 members moved to Garland, Texas, of course, because it sounded like Godland. Bought 20 homes and started wearing cowboy hats. When the prophecy didn't come true, Shen offered to be crucified or stoned, but no one carried out the punishment. 2/3 of the members abandoned the group, some because of visa problems that forced them back to Taiwan. In other words, people were so disappointed that they didn't even care enough to want revenge on the guy. Number 4, the pole shift. He who allows himself to tell a lie once finds it much easier to do a second and a third time, till at length it becomes habitual. That's Thomas Jefferson. Now, Gordon Michael Scallion, or GMS as he prefers to be called, claims to have the gift of prophecy like Nostradamus and Edward Casey. Like Casey, Atlantis had visited him. And like Nostradamus and Casey, his head is filled with visions of disaster and apocalypses. In fact, GMS's head is filled with many of the same visions Casey claimed to have had. Coincidence? Not likely. He has predicted earthquakes in California, hurricanes in Florida, and even a cataclysmic pole shift that would have changed the entire face of the planet. His doomsday prophecies are very popular with Art Bell, and whose radio show GMS has been featured several times. His predictions are so wild that his followers seem not to care that his accuracy is on par with a camel's ability to snowboard. Skeptics might find that GMS is a plagiarist. True believers might think he, Casey, Dixon, Nostradamus, and friends have tapped into a special kind of Akashic record. Scallion claims to have first noticed his gift in 1979 while hospitalized. It was then that he started hearing voices and having cataclysmic visions, the first of which was most likely his hospital bill. Soon after he was healed, he started to believe that he was also given the gift of healing, along with the gift of hallucination. He became the next Edward Casey, doing readings and healings and giving lectures to all who would listen. Soon he founded his own newsletter, the Earth Changes Report, which is $36 a year, to keep track of all his apocalyptic dreams and hallucinations, which began arriving at a furious rate. The visions now began appearing on his computer screen as dollar bill signs associated bank account. Though Scallion's predictions have never come to pass, he and many like him, such as published author David Wilcock, have been using Edward Casey's ambiguous predictions to fund their empires and pay their hospital bills for decades. Coming in at number 3, the Heaven's Gate cult. When amateur astronomer Chuck Schramek took a fuzzy CCD image of the comet Hale-Bopp, which was set to reappear in 1997, he mistakenly observed that a Saturn-like object was trailing behind it. The observation reached message boards on the early pre-YouTube internet and spread, making UFO enthusiasts predict that an alien spacecraft was trailing the comet. Funny enough, a similar prediction had been made about Comet Ison, which is supposed to make a close flyby of the Earth in January 2014. Seems we don't learn very much from history. The closeness of the comet's appearance to the new millennium led religious cults like Heaven's Gate to see it as a sign of the apocalypse. Now, 39 people in the cult committed mass suicide in California because they believed that the UFO disguising itself through the comet was there to rescue them from a doomed Earth. How they thought killing themselves would help get them on the UFO makes no sense. Other cults who thought themselves to be creatures from other planets were waiting for the UFO to take them back home and end their visit on Earth. Later, it was discovered that 2 astronomers from the University of Hawaii had actually taken the photo, and Schrammecks had been altered to add the object. Now we know, because the magic of social media and Photoshop, that this was well known and obviously duplicated and constructed. The Heaven's Gate cult will always be part of the sad case scenarios of a failed prophecy. All we can do is take it, learn from it, and hope that it never happens again. Coming in at number 2, Y2K. It was the day that was supposed to finally prove what Luddites and other tech haters had been saying for so long. Computers, not sin or religious prophecies, will bring us down. For months before the stroke of midnight on January 1st, 2,000 analysts speculated that entire computer networks would crash, causing widespread dysfunction for a global population that had become irreversibly dependent on computers to hold, decimate, and analyze its most vital pieces of information. The problem was that many computers had been programmed to record dates using only the last 2 digits of every year, meaning that the year 2000 would register as the year 1900, totally screwing with the collective computerized mind. But it just wasn't so. Aside from a few scattered power failures in various countries, problems in data transmission systems at some of Japan's nuclear plants, which did not affect their safety, and a temporary interruption in receipt of data from the U.S. network of intelligence satellites, the new year arrived with nothing more than the expected hangover. The acronym circulating on Y2K's internet sites was TOTWAKI, or the end of the world as we know it. A Christian coalition even speculated that Bill Clinton, president at the time, would take advantage of the chaos to take over as dictator of America. And all because someone didn't think ahead of time to put 4 digits instead of 2 for the years. Whoever did that math wrong must have felt quite terrible. And our number 1 top 10 failed prophecy of all time, 2012. December 21st, 2012, marked the end of the first great cycle of the Mayan long count calendar. Many misinterpreted this to mean an absolute end to the calendar, which tracked time continuously from a date 5,125 years earlier. And doomsday predictions emerged. End-of-world scenarios included the Earth colliding with an imaginary planet called Nibiru, giant solar flares, a planetary alignment that would cause massive tidal catastrophes, and a realignment of Earth's axis. Now, preparations for the end of the world as we know it included a modern-day Noah's Ark built by a man in China and extensive sales of survival kits. Did you buy one? It seems like every few years, someone comes out with a new doomsday prophecy. But whether the supposed agent of doom is aliens, asteroids, floods, or earthquakes, the outcome is always the same. The Earth manages to endure. Such predictions are nothing new. In the 1st century AD, early Christians believed Jesus would return to the earth, bringing an end to life as they knew it. As described in Mark 13:24-26, but in those days after the tribulation, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars of heaven shall fall, and the powers that are in heaven shall be shaken. And they shall see the Son of Man coming into the clouds with great power and glory. Scarier language. Since then, there has been no shortage of apocalyptic forecasts. But why? Why do people continue to predict the end of the world? And why do others insist on believing them? Perhaps some zealots feel the need to justify their preconceived worldviews through revelations about the latest celestial event or natural disaster. And maybe those who trust such doomsayers are simply hopeful for an escape from a world that seems cruel or chaotic. Well, there you have it. The top 10 failed prophecies that never materialized. Will this discourage future prophets from making new predictions each year? No way. As we speak, hundreds of men and women are predicting our future every day. The real question is which ones to listen to. It's a difficult decision, which in the end comes down to a powerful word that means different things to us all. That word is faith. If you have a prophecy to share, please add it below in the comments section because we're always listening. You've been watching UFOTV's Top 10 Failed Prophecies. I'm Jesse Randolph Singer, and I predict I will see all of you in a future episode. See you then.